Hey guys, welcome back to Aurelia. This is the episode 4. In the last one, we have built this area around the main train station. We have built the plaza and the sunken tram station as well. The Arkforge Industries building positioned it nicely in the plaza. And today, I would like to go and finish this area between what we built last time and the interchange place. So let's get into it. I definitely wanted this place to be kind of less detailed than the rest of the city. So, if you remember, I was talking about this actually in the first episode that some places in the city are going to be a bit more detailed and some not so much. And those that are not going to be that detailed are going to be kind of like a filler areas, basically just creating the impression of a high density city, but itself, they are not going to be that detailed and that, say, maybe interesting. So, what I really wanted to do here, and it was not really my intention in the first place, but a lot of YouTubers, they can definitely do like a not so nice looking areas, intentionally not so nice looking areas, detailed and all that. But I kind of figured out I can't really do that. So usually, when I'm not detailing some places, they're going to look like, something you probably wouldn't want to live in. Some kind of like a gray, boring areas, like the bad side of town or something. And usually the detailed areas are going to be the utopian, nice places around the city. So this part right here is definitely going to be exactly that. This is going to be some not detailed, or at least not that much, place where maybe like lower classes live or something like that. That's probably not exactly like a utopian city idea, but still, it's definitely going to be a bit grayish, kind of place. That's just going to fill the entire area right here between the highways and going to kind of create the impression of like a high density area. I will create these residential buildings in here that are going to be kind of all right, for residential buildings, I suppose. I wanted to create these like long blocks using these tall residential buildings. At least one of them positioned right here, very close to the sunken tram station, as you can see. Now, this place, like I already mentioned, it's definitely not going to be that much detailed, and I was really, and I'm still not sure how should I approach these areas, because I'm definitely leaving a lot of places kind of gray, just the concrete or pavement on the surface, and I'm not exactly sure about that. Especially in this area, I definitely left a lot of places open, which is not looking all that great. But on the other hand, I definitely don't feel like I want to detail this place. So I guess I'm just going to leave it. And like I said before, it's going to create the impression, or it's going to contribute to the impression of a high density kind of city. All right. So let's get to this part of the place, the one that I'm building right now. I wanted to build some kind of a elevated, raised residential area in here. And I wanted to maybe create some kind of an equivalent of, let's say, a high density gated community, maybe. Those kinds of communities. I haven't really seen them myself, but I suppose in the United States they are quite common. Those like walled and fenced off, low density usually areas with like a gate, one entrance place where people go in. But I kind of wanted to do something for high density, and this is kind of it. So I created these keys, the retaining walls kind of around, and positioned the residential buildings on top of it. So there's going to be just one entrance into the entire place, and the high density residential buildings are going to be inside. Right? So at first I wanted to build them on the top, completely on the top, but then I decided that I'm just going to create the wall and position the buildings actually below the top of the wall, and then create this fake surface again using the grass and some of the procedural objects as well to fill in those those curves. But later we are going to see that this is actually not important because I moved the grass below the level of the wall. And I wanted to create, like I said, some kind of a closed off residential community. But since it's going to be high density, I definitely wanted to provide even some services like shops and small, maybe like, I don't know, so just some kind of services that might be only for this particular community. And I wanted to do it below the residential buildings. So I decided to do it kind of underground, or at least underneath the fake surface that I'm doing here. So it's going to be underneath this grass, and we can see it inside. We can see inside of this block with these windows, the glass on the top here. So like I said, these are going to be shops and all kinds of buildings that might be some kind of like, I don't know, office buildings where like some administration of this residential area might be, but inside. All of it is going to be inside this block, like you can see. And it's going to be just pretty much like a decoration, some kind of like those ships in bottles, the glass bottles. That's going to be something quite similar to this, because if you look closely inside this area, like into the window here, you could probably see some not exactly nice places, but I'm just creating it so it looks nice through the window, like kind of zoomed out, not that detailed at all. And this is going to be the place where the only entrance is going to be. Obviously the road cuts straight through the wall. It's not exactly like a hole through the wall, so I'm just covering it so it's not visible. And it's just creating the impression that there is some kind of a tunnel entrance. Maybe inside there would be some kind of a gate, some kind of a guard booth or something like that, where people would need to show some ID card or something like that. Now, this is definitely some kind of a place that would be probably in some kind of dystopian cities, some kind of a closed off community, because, usually the reason for closed off community is that there's less crime, only people who actually live there or work there can have access to that place. So this is definitely like a dystopian part of the town, kind of like a green, residential island inside like a big metropolis. But those kinds of places I definitely don't want to do everywhere. Just in this particular area, and maybe in the future if I decide to do maybe some closed off communities as well like that, especially in some filler areas just like these. Creating some more residential buildings in here, but those are not going to be closed off like that. It was just like a one-time thing. All right. So like I said before, leaving a lot of surfaces in here empty, I didn't really think it was necessary to put some kind of like planters and trees or something like that. And there's actually one more thing. I definitely planned this city to be big, like really, really big. But there are obviously limits. There are obviously limits in the game to like props, networks, all that kind of stuff. And they're actually quite harsh. If you do a lot of detailing, then you are going to run into problems. You can use the unlimiter, kind of unlimiter mod for trees and props, but they're not exactly working like, ideally. I do believe that the prop unlimiter mod is going to actually make the props impossible to move around and stuff like that. And the tree unlimiter mod is incompatible with the tree snapping, which means that I would not be able to put trees on the fake surfaces that I do quite a lot in the city. So I can't really use that mod as well. So these filler areas I would rather leave undetailed, because let's be honest, they are not that interesting anyway. So some kind of detailing is not really going to help that much. And I would really rather leave the limits and the capacity for the props and trees and all that for much more detailed projects like the plazas or some kind of sunken stops, public transport stops, or even some residential projects that I will actually do later. So while I was explaining all that, I kind of already finished this area. Like you could have seen, it's just a filler place with lots and lots of buildings kind of clipping through and creating again, probably mentioned that already thousands of times, creating the impression of like a high density high density city with kind of, mixed buildings absolutely everywhere. Now this is definitely going to be a bit shorter video. I definitely want to get these areas out of the way, kind of, so we can do some really interesting projects, dedicate the future videos for some really interesting projects that I kind of have in store already. So we are going to now leave that area between the place that we have built last time and the interchange, and we are going to prepare some kind of a place for the next episode. So right here we are at the opposite end of the pond that we have built last time, and like I mentioned last time as well, I wanted to still continue the idea of like a tiered like ponds, or I don't know, lakes, pools, whatever you want to call them. And this is exactly it. So I built like a straight one, kind of continued from the one that we have already built, but slightly higher, and then kind of a curved one again. Now I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do buildings around it, but it's definitely going to be some kind of a residential nice place with a lot of parks, kind of like a main park avenue, we might call it, around these ponds going kind of into the city center. There's going to be public transport on both sides and all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to do this part of the pond that we have built last time in this video, so that we can just dedicate, like I already said, some next episodes completely to some nice projects that are like really nice and detailed projects for the next video completely. All right. So right here, I'm just creating pretty much almost exactly the same thing that I did in the last episode with the Arkforge Industries Plaza. This is going to be another kind of tiered plaza thingy on the side of the pond, or on the other end of the pond. So creating a lot of these fake surfaces again with all the procedural objects, grass and pavement, and some of the planters here and there. I'm not going to, in this particular episode, and I haven't even done that yet in the city, I'm not going to detail this place with like trees and bushes, because I'm not still exactly sure how that should look like. This place is not yet finished. Using all these walls to create some kind of like planters, elevated planters, dividing the individual levels and all that. Having these stairs to obviously go to the different levels as well. And we also needed some place to kind of stop or finish these retaining walls and stuff like that as well. So that's exactly what we are doing right here. Now this is going to be kind of like a teaser. In just a few seconds there's going to be like a few shots of what we are going to do actually in the next episode. I wanted to create some kind of like a sunken commercial area, but then it kind of became apparent that this place definitely needs some kind of residential area. Like I mentioned before, these ponds are going to be kind of surrounded by residential buildings, right? And it was pretty much at this point on the live stream when I was building this that I kind of decided, yeah, that's definitely what needs to happen. And I need to do some residential areas around these ponds. It's going to be really nice, and people will definitely like that. In the city, the virtual people, obviously. So just trying to finish up this plaza over here. Putting there's actually quite a high difference between the different tiers of the ponds or lakes or pools. Probably that's probably the best way to describe them. So right here I needed to create 3 sets of stairs and kind of create like I'm not sure how to call it, like a tiered garden, let's say, or like a viewing point maybe. I kind of left it, again, like I said, left it without decorations. And I'm going to do that in some later episodes. I'm not exactly going to say that I'm going to do it next time, because this place is kind of surrounded by like a huge area that I'm going to cover in like multiple episodes. And at the end, then I'm probably going to return here and do the final decorations in this area, like I said. And this is exactly what I was talking about, like a little teaser of what I would like to do in the future. So I started building these commercial buildings on the side of that plaza that we are doing right here. So definitely stay tuned for that particular project for the next episode, because I was really excited when I was building it on the live stream, and I think it turned out really nice. It's going to be a nice residential area. Here we have the plaza finished. As you can see, nothing much around it, but that's going to change in the next episode. Anyway, like I said, kind of a shorter one today. I thank you for watching, guys. If you found this channel just for this episode, then feel free to subscribe to it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you again for watching. See ya and goodbye.